Felix here, and of course, Winston. And today is a nice, big, green, shiny, beautiful day, isn't it? So what are we going to walk through here? I want to walk you through where did all the good news suddenly come from, because we didn't have that 24 hours ago. How do we actually pick great stocks? And hint, you need data. I'll give you the data. I'll give it to you for free right here, right now, in just a minute. And I'll walk you through why Wall Street's actually caught with its trousers down yet again. That might be a good thing. I'll want to do a special stock picking session with you, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. And I'll walk you through why certain people actually have to buy the market right now. And a big question for you is, are you a gambler? Because most of retail investors, that's you and me and even Winston here, are apparently gamblers, according to the latest data out. And if you understand that, you can make better decisions, you'll take less risk, you'll make more gains and everything else. And then we'll round this off with a truly rare signal that just popped, and then we'll actually look at live together as the market opens, all the big tech stocks out there, all the popular ones. You can shout them out in the chat and I will look through them. I'll tell you what I think. Is this already time to buy? Is it maybe time to sell into the gains to reduce risk here? Or is it really time to load up the boat, or is it a little bit too early? That's what we're here for. George is he's a degenerate. Good morning, everybody. So let me share my screen with you, and I'll walk you through precisely what we've got here. Where's my screen? Here's my screen. I'll give you this benchmark in just a second because it'll help you, I think. So where all good news come from? How to pick great stocks? Wall Street is short. Special stock picking session. Someone's got to buy. Are you a gambler? And the truly rare signal that just popped that everybody out there should really understand. And at the moment, it's just a few guys on Wall Street who understand that. So if that will be useful for you, just put a one or a smiley into the chat, and I see this will be useful for you. I see that you're paying attention, and if you really must, you could also hit the like button. If you insist at the same time. All right. So here's the good news in essentially one summary there. What's going on, right? So Elon said, starting next month, I'll be allocating far more of my time to Tesla now that the major work of establishing Doge is done. And Tesla are out here going, woohoo, we've got Elon back. Good news for the stock. Stock's popping like mad. We'll look at that in a second. Leavitt comes out and says there's progress being made on trade deals. We have 18 proposals from countries on trade, and the White House trade team is meeting with 34 countries. Now, progress isn't done deals, obviously, but it just makes people go, okay, maybe this isn't forever. Maybe this is the worst. The worst is maybe behind us. And President Trump says that final China tariffs won't be close to 145%. They'll be close to 1,000%. I'm kidding, all right? I'm kidding. He's not saying that. He's saying it'll come down substantially, but it won't be zero. So again, everyone's going, okay, he's calm today. Things are going to look up, right? Till the next tweet on Sunday, undoubtedly. So for the moment, things are looking up. Everyone's kind of like optimistic. And frankly, we kind of predicted that, because if you read my weekly market updates, I've been saying to you, bullish on the short term, not so bullish on the long term, and look at that in a moment as well. So what do you need to make good decisions? Honestly, you need data. You need data like this. You need to know which of the companies, and I know you guys are mostly buying NASDAQ and tech stocks, at least judging by the data. Who's actually got good margin? Who's got really good return on investment? Who's got good profit margins? Who's actually generating cash, right? Who is getting cheaper as a stock compared to right now? Stuff like that. Who's actually consistent on their earnings, right? That's really what you want to understand. And once you understand that, well, everything starts to look a little bit different. Now, why are these percentage numbers? I don't know. I'll check that in a moment. Why are they percentage numbers? They shouldn't be percentage numbers, should they? No. PE ratios should not be percentage numbers. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, let me ping a quick message to one of my team and say, what the heck's going on there? And we'll fix that straight for you. Give me 1 second, because that should not be happening. One moment. Here we go. I've got an amazing lady who has worked with me for like 15 years or something. Please check the data ASAP. Seems incorrect. All right, so we'll get that done. An update in the file. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, and you can, of course, download this, although the data looks a little funky, but download it at felixprehn.org/QQQ. You might want to just wait a couple of minutes till you look at that data point, but it's completely free. You can download it. It's a full benchmark of every single NASDAQ 100 stocks, so literally all the major stocks that you're probably looking at here. I'm just looking at the PE numbers. They look a little fishy, but the rest of it looks good. The beginning data here looks good. So check that out. So you get some good stuff there. A glitch in the matrix. One button click will fix that probably. But yeah, it looks a bit funky, doesn't it? I don't think PE numbers should be 24. These two columns don't really make sense. These three columns don't really make sense to me. The rest does. Actually, no, they don't either. This one doesn't either. So the last four columns, I think someone's flipped the columns or something like that. We'll fix that. PE numbers, indeed. So, okay. So moving swiftly on, and I'll get that data for you guys in a moment, don't you worry. Now, Wall Street is either long or short, right? They're never anywhere in between, really. So they're either heavily exposed to the market, in which case they're long, or they're really short. Right now, right here, right now, a bit of a musical reference there for you. We're at 2016 levels. Now, I don't know if you recall 2016 in the stock market. It was not a happy time. So what does that mean? It just means they've sold a lot. And, well, a significant rally would force them to go back in the market, because that's what these guys do. They tend to follow a little bit the trend here, right? And we might therefore get a little bit of a squeeze there, as Scott says. Precisely. That's really the thing here. And we saw definitely a bit of a squeeze there yesterday, which is why the moves were so big, which, by the way, this is the pre-market. Beautiful, isn't it? Isn't it lovely? Tesla up 7.6%, Nvidia up 5%, Amazon up 5%. A lot of the downside taken, reversed here. Coca-Cola is down 0.5%. Does that mean I'm panicking on my Coca-Cola position? No, it's a good company. I'm very happy with that. But yeah, you'll see a little bit of money flowing out of defensives, out of gold as well, which I'm actually very happy about, because we want to get into more gold at lower prices. So markets move in swings and roundabouts now. The obvious question, of course, is how do we pick great long-term stocks, right? How do we really do that special picking? So I will be running for you guys on Saturday a private special session. Not only will I teach you how to pick great long-term stocks, not only will I teach you where you should take profits, so that after the session, as one promise I make to you, you will never have a big loss again. Never. I'll eliminate it for you. You'll just magic it away. I'll give you the rules, right? And then how do we actually profit from this recovery, whether it's short-term, medium-term, or long-term? And I'll also give you my bonus buy list, like literally the stocks that I'm buying right now and why, and we'll walk through a bunch of those together. And they're not necessarily big tech stocks, by the way. There's a lot of stuff out there that I think is really fantastic opportunities. So if you want to learn that, and you actually want to come out of this like swinging, like Winston here, nice and confident and beautiful and fluffy, then come and join us on Saturday at felixprehn.org/webinar. There's 1,000 free spots available there for you, and we'll run for about an hour and a half or so. Lots of teaching. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. I love doing those sessions, and the kind comments I got from the last ones we've done were tremendous. So I'm encouraged to give you guys more of those, because I appreciate a lot of you guys want to learn. And here's just one little thing. He's a fresh student of mine, Paul. I don't know, Paul, are you with us, Paul? I scribbled out your surname, so this was a little bit less intrusive. But you said a couple of very wonderful things. I wanted to share my experience here. And he said, when I retired 3 years ago, after carefully planning my pension, Social Security, and so on, I thought I was ready to manage my 401k. It's been up and down roller coaster, a ride of emotions, to say the least. And then he came across Winston. He's very kind to credit me, but he really means Winston. And really, we just asked him, one question. It's like, how has this affected your personal life? And he says, it has improved my peace level immensely now. Now that I'm applying these protocols and these steps and rules into the investing portion of my life, I hope to capitalize on this and more in my portfolio for 2025. And just like, yeah, very different. Removing the emotions, sleeping better. And that's really what it's all about. So I want to spread that to more of you guys. Doesn't mean you have to become a student of mine, by the way. You can just come and enjoy all the free stuff that we put out there. 99% of the stuff we put out there is free. So come and join us, like Paul on Saturday, and learn. That's how Paul found us. So felixprehn.org/webinar is the link down below. I'll put it in the chat for you here as well. There we go. And I'll pin that to the top of the channel so you can find it easily, my friends. Now, Denzo says, don't fall for his free Saturday session. It's a 2-hour advertisement for his paid courses with 0 actual financial information. I attended the last ones as 2 hours of my life lost. Interesting, my friend. Now, we did actually teach quite a lot. I taught you how to pick stocks. I taught you where to exit. I ran you through at least half a dozen live examples of where we do that. And maybe you're just a much more advanced investor and you know some of those things. But for the 99% of people who are beginner investors, which is, if most people are honest with themselves, most people actually are, they get tremendous value out of it. And I see that because they write me very nice messages afterwards. We also get a score from the webinar provider, which was like a 4.7 out of 5 or something. So most people get tremendous value out of that. Some people don't. And then they come here and they whinge and complain about it, which is all right. So I'm going to put you into mute, my friend. Not because I disagree with people. I don't mind that. But I may come up with a new rule for banning people. If people are unkind, I ban them. It's very simple. If people come and say, I attended the session. For me, I'm a bit more advanced. I didn't get that much out of it. That's okay. I'm very happy for you to be here. But people who are unkind, I block you nowadays. So we've toughened up a little bit, haven't we, Winston? Apparently we have. Who's sleeping on my slippers? There he is. So shall we proceed with who's got to buy stocks right now and why? And then we look at the top stocks out there. Felix is being far too diplomatic. You know, some people, like it does piss me off sometimes where you have like, you know, you run a 2-hour session live, you answer 500 questions. I do this because I enjoy it and 99% of people get tremendous pleasure of it. And then there's always one twit, isn't there? There's one twit who comes out and writes 9 reviews on social things and says, I don't think it was good use of my time. Well, you could have left after 3 minutes if you didn't like it. It's very odd, the people who leave reviews sometimes, but 99% of you are amazing. So I shan't get sidetracked by the 0.01% of buggers out there. Now, who's actually gonna buy? Who's actually, David says they're unkind and just plain wrong, and that's okay. That's okay. Well, who's actually gonna? You know, I look at Winston and I say the world is a good place. It makes creatures like Winston. Now, algo funds. So the CTAs, it does irritate me sometimes, I must say, people who these nitwits. But I always think I should feel sorry for them because most of the time it's people who are frustrated, right? They want something, they haven't got it. There's something bad's happened in their life. And that's why people generally lash out. It's usually we sort of, you know, project. I think that's what the shrinks would call it. So algo funds, I've got to buy if the market goes sideways, 4 billion. If the market goes up, 7 billion this week. If the market goes down, 3 billion. And this bonanza, even next for the whole month, if the market drops, they still got to buy. So we like that, right? I also reminded you yesterday that the buybacks are kicking back in from Friday, which is good. Scott says 250,000 subscribers, F the haters. Yeah, it's, you're quite right. You're quite right. It's a question of perspective. It's just they pop up into your inbox. You know what I mean? And it's just sometimes. But I'm very grateful for this incredible community that we have, where like 99.99% of people are just amazing and kind and generous and want to learn and share. And I love the chat you guys are having in here always. So just criticize me by all means. Disagree with me violently. Just frame it in a sort of kind framework, and I will never ever block you. Now, you lot are gamblers. And you can deny it, but the data is pretty clear. Somebody has since January been buying individual stocks like mad, and that somebody is retail investors who've just been going, I heard there was a dip going on and I'm buying it. It's got, of course, got a lot to do with the fact that we've come through like basically 20 years of markets where at every single dip, the government has stepped in and bailed us out. The Fed's bailed us out, or the federal government's bailed us out. The slight problem is that isn't really happening right now, although the tweets just now were good. Are we drinking the electrolyte today? We're drinking GAC juice today, which is something that I should probably be selling. GAC juice is it's a funky little fruit which contains a lot of something or other that's very, very good for you. And it's very delicious. Mike, guilty as charged. Okay, who's a gambler? Put a G for gambling in there. If you have ever bought a stock just because you felt like you didn't want to miss out, right? Put a G in the chat. I'd love to see it because clearly that's happening. Now, am I saying that you guys are wrong? Well, I really hope not. But I'm just saying that according to the rules that the institutional investors and the guys who actually make most of the money, be honest about it, they're not buying here, right? Okay, I'm loving the G's, guys. I'm loving the self-reflection there. There's a lot of G's here. Brilliant. Okay, a lot of G's. And so come and join me on Saturday, and I will remove the gambler from your brain because there are simpler ways of making money than gambling. Now, here it is again. Felix Prehn/webinar on Saturday. There's a lot of G's here. Okay. I think I triggered something here, right? I think I hit a bit of a nerve there. I don't think I've ever seen quite as much response in the chat that you guys actually are all degenerate gamblers. So come and join me on Saturday, and we will do something about that. Because you know what? I used to be a gambler, not in a physical sense, but on the stock market. And once you stop gambling, then, like my friend Paul said above, you just sleep better. You really, really do. Like you end up sleeping like this guy. You're just like, life's good. What's the worst that's going to happen? I don't know. I might wake up and I might have more money. That's sort of what Winston's thinking. Or more, puppies or more kittens or something. I wanted to introduce him to the kittens actually later. We haven't done that yet. Kittens are 3 days old. I think they're ready to meet. Okay, here is a signal, a bit of a random one, but it's a bit of a rare one. So one thing I do look at, especially in markets like this, I look at how many stocks are advancing and how many stocks have volume that's going up while they're advancing. And then these guys have come up with this pretty high threshold, and that has to happen twice within 9 days. And over the last 45 years, it happened once, it happened twice, 3 times, 4 times, and just yesterday, 5 times. Each of those were, well, not the first one, not that one, but all the other ones were actual market bottoms. Big, beautiful market bottoms that you wanted to buy. So good news? Possibly. It's just a data point, right? Don't get too excited by it. Now, one thing I would say, and I said this yesterday, I'd say be a little careful. And that's what we're going to look at the stocks together in just a second here live, because this rally is caused by nothing fundamental, but a bunch of tweets. And opposing tweets will therefore undo it. So it isn't like, oh my God, we just invented something great, or earnings just picked up or something. No, like Tesla had terrible earnings. I mean, really abysmal earnings, yet the stock's up because Elon said he's gonna be doging a little bit less. Can I see short interest in trade vision? That's actually on the list. We're working on that. Should we sell the RIP? That is what I fear the smart money is going to be doing. So we're looking big and beautiful and shiny here in green. Now, if you look at, say, a stock like NVIDIA, and we look at the indices, I mean, look at the watch list, first of all. Like, look at the sea of green there, right? It's like pretty much everything is green right now. And obviously, we will look for the market to open in just a couple of minutes. But if you look at NVIDIA here, let me just hit refresh on that. Can't deny. I know what you guys are thinking in your heads. I know what you're thinking. Gamblers with terrible taste in music. So we are trading, that's this blue dotted line here at 540 for the S&P right now, right? Which is pretty good. It's a pretty sweet recovery from the bottom. There, I said it again. We're 12% up from the bottom. So it's a pretty good recovery. Now, what we have seen is that when we did go up here previously, we saw a lot of selling by institutional investors who are de-risking. And I'm a little bit worried more of that's going to happen. NVIDIA, for example, is jumping to $104, which of course is much better than the miserable 98 we were at yesterday. And so you've got to ask yourself, is that the moment to buy it? Now, I have a rule. I always want to be late. I want to be late. I want to buy every stock a little bit late. And it really breaks the whole, I need to be early. Well, what if it's going to go up? I don't want to miss out on it. And the simple way I look at that is, how do you feel when you're late to a stock? Stocks pop 5%, you missed it. You feel a little bit like envious, a little bit of FOMO, right? But how do you feel when you're in a stock and you wish you would have sold a month ago and you're down 20, 30%? That feels pretty awful, right? You got that pain in the pit of your stomach. So being late buying is better than being late selling. So we buy a little late and we sell a little early. And that's actually how you make money. So it's a question of risk, right? So if you look at the rules here, look at the trend. And I'll get a pen. Let's get a little blue pen here. And of course, I'm using Trade Vision if you want to follow along here, which is the software that we built to give you guys the best indicators. We got 4 highs here, right? And each one was lower. So yes, we're trading right now here, which is nice, but we still kind of got to take out those recent highs. We got to break through the downtrend channel. And then when you put in some real objective numbers, I mean, not lines that I've drawn in the sand, but real numbers, it's a 50-day moving average line. Where is it? It's up here. It's at 116. I kind of think we need to be above that. Otherwise, I don't buy stock. What about the 150? Well, that sits at 128. So people are thinking, oh my God, Felix, you're going to miss out on $24 of rally on NVIDIA. And I'm saying, yes. My name is Felix, and I like to miss out on the very early part of rallies because the likelihood of it failing is very great. Right? So I'm not buying NVIDIA. Just want to be clear on that. There are some other good tech stocks. They're looking much more promising. I mean, Palantir, for one, looks a lot more promising. And why is that? Because, well, you see the yellow 50-day moving average line here? It's that one there, right? So we're above it, but it's still sloping down a little bit. I'd like it to pick it up just a little bit. And you might be saying, Felix, you're being too picky. That's how you get to keep the money that you spend 40 or 60 or 80 hours a week working, by being picky. Like, people just make these investment decisions so frivolously. You're like, oh, I'm just going to throw a couple of $1,000 at it. I'm sure it'll be fine. Time will heal all. It's not how Wall Street does it. That's all I'm saying. So I'm looking for a close above 99, maybe even 100, because the resistance line sits at 100 here, which is an indicator we have, which basically tells us when the hedge funds sell. Well, they sell at 100. So maybe don't buy at 99, 97. Maybe wait for it to close above 100 so you know those guys are knocked out, right? American markets have the best bottoms. You think that's true? Have you been to Brazil? I went to Brazil for the first time in the millennium, 2000. We literally partied into the new millennium in Copacabana Beach, which was very fun. I had some family who were living down there, and that was good fun. It was good fun. It's a nice place, nice people too, and some extraordinary bottoms. Yes. So, any other stocks you want me to look at? Let's have a look at some of the other ones. Now, there is one that I like, and Netflix. I must admit, I put up my hand. I'm in this, so I'm obviously going to try and persuade you to buy it so I can move the market. And don't be ridiculous. First of all, I never try to persuade you to do anything. I just give you my perspective. You can come to your own conclusion. And secondly, I don't have the power to move Netflix stock. It's a little too large. But this is a nice one. Why? Because we had a double bottom. There it is again, right? But we basically bounced off that. You see the purple line there? The purple line that I've drawn in? Well, I didn't draw it in. It's Trade Vision did it. That purple line there is the 150-day moving average line, right? And we bounced off that, and that's pretty good. We broke through here, that brownish line there, that one, which is the 200-day moving average line. And then all we're missing now is the 50. Or is that the 50? Oh, yeah, that's the 50. Okay, we really got to do something about that color, which we are. I did put in a request yesterday. I'm hoping that my requests carry a little bit more weight than others, but who knows? So that's pointing up. And then we went through the trend line here as well. So that's looking good. So if you know my rules, then this will look familiar to you, right? This will look familiar to you. We have this kind of wedge pattern here with 3 highs. We break through it. We do that on pretty solid volume here, pretty solid volume compared to like average volume. And therefore, we like it. I like it. Winston likes it. Winston likes Netflix. Actually, he doesn't. Not a fan of television. I don't have a Netflix subscription. I subscribed to it the other day because I wanted to watch something, and then I canceled it again the day after because I thought, what a load of dross. But yeah, we're trading at 1,048 even, which is just a few cents off the resistance line at 1,050. So we might hit that again today. That might be a little bit that. And then the next one, the next high up here was about 1,063. So you break through those and you're back at all-time highs for Netflix. So I like this one as one of the tech stocks out there that is just not tariff affected. It's looking pretty good. All right, what else have we got here? We've got, okay, people are throwing some stocks out. Let's have a look at those. And by the way, like what I just walked you through, right? To really understand those rules properly, come and join me Saturday live to 10 a.m.? 10 a.m. Eastern time, is it? Or is it 11? 11 a.m. Eastern time. What does that say at the bottom of the screen? I think it's 11 a.m. Eastern time. And Winston and I will run through really the theory and the rules first. Then we'll look at examples together. We'll also look at where do we sell and how do we set that up. That's really important. I'll also give you, and I'll work on that over the next few days, like a nice little buy list for like what's happening out there in the market and why we like it. And for example, I did a video on this a little while back, right? Celsius. We just bought that, didn't we? I thought we just bought that. I thought that got triggered. Why did that get triggered? I can't remember. Weird. Shouldn't have gotten triggered, should it have? Anyway, it did. So yeah, a couple of those kind of stocks that we're in. So let's have a look at SoFi. And what do we see here? It looks like a beautiful, shiny gap up is about to happen here. We're trading at $12.02 pre-market. We closed yesterday at $11.25. So that's a nice, big, juicy bounce there. Is that enough? No, it just isn't. Look, I mean, just picture the candle that's going to appear here today, right? Let's just say it turns out to be a really, really beautiful morning. And it ends like something like that, right? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Is that enough? No, why not? Because we were there just in April. We were here. That was a high. We bounced off that. That wasn't good. That yellow line that I'm pointing out there is the 50-day moving average line. And it's sort of committing suicide, isn't it? It needs to do this. It needs to start coming up again before we get excited by this. But it's a good move in the right direction, but it's a step. And I fear some people will exit on these step ups today. So I'm a little cautious on this bump just because fundamentally, everyone's excited about what Trump's just said and Elon and everybody. And brilliant, amazing, love it. I'm very happy that things like Tesla are popping up again. But we're going to wake up today or tomorrow or on Monday, and we're going to realize that nothing has actually fundamentally changed. We haven't got a trade deal. Tariffs haven't come down. We haven't got tax cuts yet. We haven't got deregulation yet. Xi and Trump haven't become best bosom buddies yet. So nothing has fundamentally changed. Markets just opened, by the way, which means we should abuse our hideous bell. This is pathetic, isn't it? I mean, this sort of state of the market right now, isn't it? This bell. We're getting a new bell. A new bell is on the way. It is coming. It is actually an old bell. Winston was not too disturbed by that one. I think the new one will be a little louder, won't it, Winston? So the market's going to wake up to that and go, actually, the risk is still there, isn't it? But it is still progress for a stock like Tesla to start doing, a little bit of this. Because ultimately, all we need is us to break out of a trend line like that. And then the moving averages start to move up a little bit. We cross through the 50-day moving up, 150 up here. And then, we find ourselves at $300 before you know it. And the party's back on. But that's kind of what I'm waiting for. So brilliant. So trading at 251 right now, which is good. Now, someone's asking, is it too late to buy Milai, which is Mercado Libre, which I did a video on a little while back. I'd say it's pretty, I'm not telling you to buy it, obviously, but you see that previous high here? That's the one. That's the resistance right now, right? So you got to take that out. So actually waiting a day to see whether you take that out or not could be a reasonable move. Like, I didn't know it was going to gap up like that, right? So looks pretty good. Looks like a sweet little setup there. Now, Nobel Prize. I know. Are we going to get an Android app along with the Bell? Yes, I am promised that it might come as soon as Friday, which is probably a little bit optimistic, but it is in the final stages of being put together. So we are getting an Android app for Trade Vision, which is the iPhone app is already out. Here it is. iOS mobile app is now available, so you guys can download that, and that's amazing. Super happy what the team's put together there. And next will be Android. We're also doing something very, very cool on the dark pool stuff here, because at the moment that's a little hard to interpret, I think, for most people. So we're doing something to give you some real like indicators there to get a feeling for bullish and bearishness and so on. MSTR. Oh yeah, you got me there. MSTR. That was one I wanted to talk about. MSTR. I'm loving it. Should be the new slogan. Should steal that from McDonald's. And what do we see? Well, look, we had our lows down here at the 230 to 30, and you're like, don't mention those. We don't want to bring those up. We don't like to remember those days. And we had 3 of those, right? And we bounced very nicely off that 230 line. We then broke through the purple 100-day, 50-day moving average line. Now that's a little too dark, isn't it? You can't bloody see the thing. The now pink 150-day moving average line. And then to do even better than that, the 50 is curving up. So I think I'm in love. The trend line in blue here, we smashed through it. We took out the recent high, struggling a little bit with the February cousins. But that's about it, really. So this looks beautiful. And of course, it's got everything to do with Bitcoin's move and not just, micro strategies move. But yeah, I like it. I'm not saying that you should buy it. It's one of the craziest business models I've ever seen. Why did I actually buy MSTR? Because I thought this was only for mad people, honestly. I thought this stock's bonkers, some sort of leveraged thing on Bitcoin. I mean, who needs the risk? I watched an hour-long interview with, what's his name, who runs it. And he talked about derivatives, which are options, weird sort of derivatives. Like, I've really only heard 1 or 2 of my options mentors talk about, who are market makers and who did this for 20 years. Like, he talked about stuff that nobody could understand, and I was impressed. I understood a little, just enough of it to go, this guy understands derivatives on a level that nobody does. Nobody seems to actually understand what MSTR does. And I think what he does is pretty extraordinary there. Michael Saylor, that's the one. Thanks very much, El Cabong. Bernie says, idiot Musk crawling back to Tesla. Are you related to the other Bernie, the tool who's been trying to die in Congress for the last couple of decades? Tesla is an amazing business. I think they're going to do tremendously well. But when is the best time to place an order during the session, beginning, middle, end of day? I avoid the first hour, my friend, simply because bid and ask spreads are very wide. Any other time is pretty much good. Sanders, that's the nutter. I used to quite like Bernie Sanders. I thought he was a bit of a kook. I thought he was maybe a little bit of a loon, but kind of heart in the right place, I thought. And then I realized that there was no heart at all in the place. So there was just a beating water cash, apparently, like with most politicians. So. But that's okay if you love. I honestly, I used to think the guy was like different, but he seems to be just the same. Takes farmer money and spouts the opposite nonsense of what he said the week. But I honestly think this is not about any particular politician, but I'm astounded how willing these guys are to lie. They're like on TV, on an interview like 2 weeks ago, and they say one thing, and then they come out today and they say the exact opposite, and they'll deny that they ever said it. And you're like, we have the clip, dude. We got your signed letter. And they're just saying it's extraordinary how I think they just think that we're really stupid. I think that's really what they think, that they can get away with it. Like, I mean, I'm like, what? I mean, yeah, I know. Let's not get into politics too much. But anyway, Bernie versus Trump was election we all wanted but never got. That would have been entertaining. It would have been, it does, yeah. Does Bernie think about the people? I'm not so sure. I think he mostly thinks about getting re-elected, to be honest with you. But anyway, I think that's what most politicians are about. And I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I don't get to vote in the US. Thank God. I don't, not really that bothered. I just observe it from an outsider's perspective, and I try to figure out how I can make the most money out of the madness you guys get up to. And you know, you provide very good value entertainment there, I must say. Like, you elect people that keep us very, very, very entertained and keep the market moving a lot. And you know, good on you. PayPal, nice little gap up. I mean, that's really what I'm saying today. A lot of people are going to be like, this is the end of the crash and the bull market is here and we'll be trillionaires by Tuesday. And, you know, I might put out the occasionally silly headline like that because the algorithm demands it. But what I'm actually saying here is that it's a pretty modest move up. We're trading where we were on 14th of April, right? So let's put this into perspective. We're trading where we're trading on the 9th of April. So it's a little bump, but fundamentally, the things that got the market to where it is have not been solved yet. So I don't want to be a party pooper. We're looking to make money. We bought a bunch of things this week, and I continue to buy a bunch of things this week because there's always a way to make money. But I just want to be a little cautious on the tech stuff here. Palantir, yeah, that's a good one to look at. And that has hit the $100 mark, which is la résistance. So the hedgies are selling. That's what happens at 100. So you got to break through that, and you can actually watch that live if you really got no life whatsoever, and you just want to watch stock charts. Where is the stock chart? Here it is. So what you will see is that it'll hit 100 like it did here, and then they'll sell off. It'll come down. Now it's going a bit above it, and I would bet about 20 cents. Hong Kong cents, which is worth about $3 that it's going to come back down below the 100 mark in a little while. Use Palantir support history. So Scott, let's have a look. Well, I think we need to go on a day chart for that, right? For that to work, which means you've ruined my fun. Support's staying flat. Yeah. And I'm seeing that a lot. Like the institutional money, thanks Scott for highlighting that, they are not closing their hedging. They're not closing their insurance, you know, their puts. They're still very cautious. They're still worried this could get a lot worse. And that's what the support line's telling you. It's saying, like, they're not moving up. Like, you want that green line here. You want that to go, you know, there is no more risk. We're going to moon, right? You want it to go back here. And it hasn't done that. So that's a very, very, very good indicator, Scott. Thanks very much for highlighting that. And I think you'll see that on pretty much everything. I mean, if you look at, say, NVIDIA, I'm sure that's probably the same story there. It's actually kind of gone down. So yesterday, right? So yeah, the caution is very much still there. Let's have a look at maybe Apple or any of the other big ones there. And again, yeah, it's gone down the last couple of days. It's not really fundamentally improving. So they are still worried about risk. And that's, by the way, literally the only place in the world where you can get that indicator is inside TradeVision, because nobody else has it. We tried to buy it, asking all the data provider in the world, and they were like, you want what? And I don't know, all right, fine, we build it ourselves. So there's a free trial if you want to check out TradeVision, links down below in the description as well. Is Palantir under 100 again? 122, right? So you can literally see how these lines work by, you know, yeah, we hit it again. Now a little bit above it. And we might do that merry dance for a while. And of course, you can break through these lines. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm just saying it tends to slow you down a fair bit. So we're like 11 cents above it, or 10 cents above it. So you see how you're getting pinned to that $100 line because the market maker buggers at sort of Citadel and Co. are selling. Now, Roku says, never sell Palantir in the next couple of decades. I just don't go for that. I just don't think that you should fall in love with a stock. I just don't think that you should pin your financial future and freedom and happiness on one company delivering, right? What if they get hacked tomorrow and it all collapses, right? What if it turns out that they're running, I don't know, some illegal operations? And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's possible, right? Enron was the most fantastic business in the world, right? People thought that the only way to make money out of the EV thing was a thing called plug, which was trading at 90 cents. And people literally fell in love with that around about the $75 mark. Now, I do think Palantir is a much better business than Plug. Plug has only ever been a petrol station without petrol and without, KFC. It just made no sense. But don't rely on one business. That's what I'm saying. And do sell when it tells you to sell. If you want to learn how to sell, I'll teach you on Saturday, because that's honestly the most important thing. Why do we do this? Why do we invest in a stock? Not because we want to hold on forever after and support the founders and the CEO and everybody else to make money, but because we actually want to make money, right? Why do you want to make money? I think that you got to almost write that down. Like, why are you sitting here? Why are you watching the stock market? Why are you watching charts? Because you want to retire, right? You want to maybe do something for someone you love, child, wife, whatever. Send them to college, or, buy us something nice and upgrade your house, go on a trip together, or whatever it might be. Or number 3, buy something, for yourself, because you're a selfish bastard and you really need that Ferrari. That could also be it. And it doesn't really matter, no judgment, what your motivation is. But all of those things depend on you making money. So why do you care where the money comes from? Whether you make it from Palantir or, Coca-Cola of Mexico, right? Which I own. Not the whole thing, sadly. So I don't really care where I make the money. It's just that Coca-Cola of Mexico has actually gone up since, quite a lot. Sort of since the February dips out there, it's gone up more than most tech stocks, 33%. So I just want to be in whatever goes up. That's just my rule. I don't care what it is. Like, they could be selling marshmallows or something, like, or garden gnomes. Don't care. If it's a great business, I want to be in it. If you're in Think or Swim, how do you find the same support resistance levels as Trade Vision? You don't. Think or Swim doesn't have the data. Think or Swim is decent for setting up trades, but brokers and data and brokers and usability is just a disaster. Clint, I appreciate that. I appreciate you joined the class last week and love it so far. Amazing, my friend. I'm glad you're learning. Mexican Coke's looking sweet. It is, isn't it? George Gonzalez. You wouldn't be hailing from that direction, would you? Now, I'm sure I've racially, aggravatedly offended him. I think some of us still have a sense of humor, don't we? Does your old phone work? Yes, it is actually white. It's the lighting that makes it look a little yellow. It is actually white. It's a direct line to Jerome Powell. Now the VIX is dropping. That's a good one to look at. So it's at 28. That's pretty good. Now, where are we happy? Below 20, we're really happy. Now below 30 is better. We're now below the 15th of April low, ever so slightly. So it's starting to look better. It's below the 20-day moving average line, which means something. So yeah, it's an improvement. I'd like to see that come down a little bit more, obviously. Is Trade Vision just for US stocks? Yeah, US listed stocks. So we have a couple of thousand in there. We haven't added European or UK data or something yet. Vote for it. And if there's enough demand for it, we will do it. I'm just not a fan of like the 99% subsidizing, the 3 people in Malta who want Maltese stocks. You know what I'm saying, right? But if there's enough of you, obviously in Europe or something, or the UK, or Snow Mexicans in Canada, then be happy obviously to add the data. We need 3 trade deals in the next 10 days, Scott. I actually think India would do the trick, because you could sort of imagine that might replace some of the Southeast Asian stuff that's getting hit pretty hard. Any kitten baby photos, says Frankie. Watch the next video that's coming out. There is a kitten video at the end of it, and I'll try to keep that up for a little while. They're 3 days old now. They're very, very, very sweet. Do the support resistance lines change real time? You've kind of got me on that one. I know they change daily. I don't know how often they change intraday, to be honest with you. I'm not really sure. What do you think of Berkshire? BRK. Here we go. What happened to BRK? Just crashed the market. What did I do? I did something wrong, didn't I? Try that again. BRKA. Here we go. All right, let's look at this purely from a chart point of view. So is it above the moving averages? The yellow line there, yup, right? Did it bounce off them in the recent crash and therefore indicate some sort of sign of strength? Yaha. Now, is there some resistance on the way up? Right. Now, this stock trades, by the way, at $791,000, which is very, very cool. There is a cheaper B version, which is the same thing, I think without the voting rights, if I'm not mistaken. So what I would do is just look at where were the highs, right? And they were sort of here in that general zone. And they're never at a straight line, by the way, but they were basically at about 806,000, these sort of highs there. It'd be nice to break through those again, because what happens is you build resistance when you hit them once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times and you don't make it. So it's likely that we're going to hit that line again and we're going to bounce off somewhat, right? So I would wait till we break through that. And some of you ask me about, well, why would you do that? Well, let me give you a real life example of a stock that I said I really liked that I actually had literally I have a buy order open for this. It's called Northrop Grumman. It's one of those beautiful ethical companies that makes things to kill people. And but they look really good and shiny, like sort of stealth bombers and cool stuff that just kills people from a really long distance. And I said, well, my buy order was, let me draw a line, slightly above the highs. So it was somewhere up here, slightly above the highs, always slightly above the recent highs. And it didn't get triggered. And I'm sure some people were like, oh, that sucks. That's boring. It didn't get triggered. And then earnings come in and the thing completely collapses 20% or something. At which point you're thinking, well, I'm very glad I'm not in this. Right? So always good to be a little late to the party than a bit too early and greedy. Massive diabetic problem in Mexico. It's probably why Coca-Cola is doing so well. Is Coke of Mexico different than Coke? Yes. It's a different company. It's called KOF is the ticker. But obviously, I'm sure there is a fairly close correlation. There is also one for Europe called KEF. There are a bunch of them. There are quite a lot of Coca-Cola companies. And so a lot of you guys are talking about volume. And yeah, that's obviously something to watch. Not obvious, but something you want to watch for today is the rally sustained by increasing volume? So what you want to look at, and this is why I look at stocks mostly at the end of the day. I don't really look at it during the day because it's kind of pointless. So you see, yesterday it was a green day up. Volume increased a little bit. Today, a little hard to tell because we've only just gotten started 20 minutes ago. But we want to see on this jump up, we want to see a green candle that's at least a little bit bigger than the one the day before. The bigger, the better, by the way. What you really don't want is you don't want rallies with falling volume because they're bound to fail. Like you see this rally up here? You see what happened to volume, right? So that's another one. So a lot of stuff in this session here today, isn't there? So sugarcane versus corn syrup. Oh, the Mexicans use sugarcane still. That probably tastes a little bit better, doesn't it? And it's probably just a little bit less poisonous than the corn syrup. And yeah, I have you buy Northrop before earnings. Is that a rule violation? No, you just have to be aware of the risk. You just have to be aware of the risk, obviously. Earnings has always got a bit more risk. Gold. Okay, let's actually round up with gold. I'll just look at the ETF here because that's what most people have access to, GLD. And yeah, it's dropping. It's dropping. And I like it. I like it a lot because it was extended. It was overdone. We nibbled only a little bit. Most of the gold stocks I wanted to buy, I just thought were extended. So what I'm hoping for is one of these, like one of these, and to nibble there, basically. So again, patience is what makes me the most money. And doing very little is what makes me the most money. So I'm waiting for that pullback. Maybe I'll buy a little early on some of those. But yeah, I think gold is fundamentally maintaining a rally, but we're getting pulled back a little bit here on the alleged good news, mostly rumors, quite frankly. And I think we could go quite a lot higher on a lot of the individual gold stocks. I'm not really buying gold itself. I'm buying individual gold stocks tied to it because there's some earnings there and that sort of thing. Some of you guys dumped gold. Interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, if you're a bit more short term than me, that might be a fair thing to do. There's one other thing you guys looking at, Oxy. Yeah, which is an interesting case study in that no one's always right in the short term, because the Warren Buffett has been buying since, I think, around about here, if I'm not mistaken. He's certainly been sort of nibbling around this level a lot, which is why people I thought couldn't drop any lower. It has, and it continues to. But he has a very, very, very long time horizon. So he doesn't really care much for making money in the short term. I think his horizon is sort of like lifespans. Having said that, he tends to hold most stocks for not all that long. Actually, they don't actually hold stuff forever. But obviously, they see some value in this. I don't own it. I don't understand what the value is, to be quite honest with you. And it violates every single one of my rules. So it did this. And then it didn't break out to the top here as we wished, but it actually collapsed to the south side, which for me would be maybe a shorting indicator. But I didn't do that either because I don't like to short against Warren the Buffett. So what do you think of EU rulings against Meta? Yeah, interesting timing, isn't it? It almost feels like they wanted a bit of ammunition to negotiate with. That's almost the way I look at that, because we kind of thought they'd get hit with fines because of the trade tariff, and then Trump would insist that they wouldn't. So I think it's part of the general tit for tat. I think Europe has lost its marbles with regulations. I think they really are just, all they care about is regulating things and being right. I think it's run by a bunch of just bureaucrats, so therefore the bureaucracy's sake. And that's what bureaucrats do, right? They only care about process. They don't care about outcome. It's just about process. The process has to be perfect. We don't care what it does in the real world. So I think they're a bunch of loons, which is why there is basically no tech innovation in Europe, right? Because it gets killed and people will just move to the US. Right, my friends. So come and join me on Saturday with Winston in tow, and I'll teach you the rules properly. We'll just do education. We'll really run through them in a systematic way. I'll also give you a list of stocks that I'm actually buying, and I'll explain to you why. I'll run through each, like the actual numbers and why, and genuinely things that I've got buy orders on, not just stuff that I'm making up. And my goal is for you to be positioned to come out of this bear market like the best investor you've ever been. And these rules and this structure that I'll teach you, you'll have it forever. And it's free, it doesn't cost you a thing. We'll have 1,000 free spots there. And bring a pen, bring a pad of paper, bring a golden retriever if you've got one. That would be useful. And come and learn with me on Saturday and actually take advantage of this dip, because dips are tremendous. Dips are amazing. Bear markets are where we make most of our money. So come and enjoy it, and then you'll sleep better and you'll be happier, and your ears will be as big as Winston's. I wish you a tremendous day. I hope to see you guys live tomorrow. And make sure you click on that felixprehn.org/webinar link before I take it away. There it is in the chat. I wish you all the best. Take care.